Hey everybody, welcome in. Welcome to West Virginia Wire. My name is Regina Connell. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on greetings, intros, pleasantries, all of that. We're going to dive right into this interview that was released on Mixed Texan Report YouTube channel. And I wanted to go ahead and get it out there. I'll explain to you guys the technical side of it. Anyway, this interview is the interview between the Texas 8th District City Council running against Chris Nettles in the 8th District of Texas. Her name is Miss Jackson, No Taxing Jackson, Peyton Jackson. And I am featuring original music from Thanos. The album is The Mind Stone, making sure I've got good sound, and we do. So without further ado, let's jump in.
Yeah, it's nothing common. These others, you hear them rhyming. I hit the earth and spin the block on them like
this in the 8th district. We're going to have some
Bear with me, guys. I'm getting it set up for you. And then this is the interview. It was a great interview. And we thank Miss Jackson for agreeing
great
to
city
it.
of Fort Worth, Texas, in the 8th district. We're going to have some fun. This is my first interview, so this is exciting. And it is an honor to have you today, Miss Jackson.
What?
Wait, that's happening now? West Virginia?
Yes. So we want to ask you some. In the great city of Fort Worth, Texas, in the 8th district, we're going to have some fun. This is my first interview, so this is exciting. And it is an honor to have you today, Miss Jackson.
Wait, that's happening now? West Virginia Wire. Regina reacts.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It means a lot.
Yes. So we want to ask you some questions about how you got started in this race, where you see the city of Fort Worth going, and ask a little bit about the campaign. So we'll go ahead and get started here.
Yeah, but before we do that, we are going to take a great look at the wonderful website that's set up. So if anytime during this broadcast you want to run over there and check out No Taxing with Jackson, Peyton Jackson, running for the 8th Texas District of City Council, and maybe even future plans. Let's see. All right, here is her website. We're going to read it real quick, and we're going to go through the bio real quick. Are you cool with that? All right, announcement. Fort Worth City Council districts. I am honored to announce that I will be listed third on the ballot for District 8 City Council race in the upcoming May 3rd, 2025 election ballot placement. All right, so let's look at Ms. Peyton Jackson's story. Sycamore Park, July 2023. Born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, moved to Texas when she was just 10 following Hurricane Katrina. After graduating with a bachelor's in accounting, she began her journey in REI, exploring the wonders of passive income. She has hosted hundreds of tenants, partnering with Airbnb and local housing authorities to provide affordable housing. At 28 years old, she is active with her properties local to the DFW Metroplex, is a community advocate addressing city councils, school boards, and county commissioners across the DFW Metroplex, and has worked in the mental health industry, all while managing her real estate portfolio and expanding her work as an author. Follow the journey at No Taxing with Jackson.
Yeah, so I want to ask you about some of the things on your bio. I want to know a little bit more about the Airbnb situation. How are you partnering with them and providing affordable housing?
So I actually don't do any Airbnb anymore. Airbnb is how I kind of got started into real estate. After or during my senior year in college, I used my last two Pell Grants to jump into real estate investing. And I started out with Airbnb when it was lucrative in Dallas during 2020, during the lockdown and everything. And then I went into travel nurses, regular long-term tenants, but now I only house Section 8 tenants. So exclusively, I only
Okay.
work with the affordable housing program, which is getting HAP contracts for or from the state of Texas.
Okay. Very
Yeah,
good. That's good to know. And you're an author?
I am. I am. I have one book published. I'm working on three more. One of them
Wow.
I have to have illustrated. It's a children's book on how to create and generate and manage passive income via vending machines. But the only one that
Wow.
I have published right now is a memoir of my life up until 2020. Yes, it's called
Okay.
Intimidating Black. It's published through Amazon.
Wow. Well, that's okay. Everybody take a look. And what is the name of the book?
Intimidating Black.
Oh, it's sorry, Intimidating Black. Okay, so everybody go to Amazon, get you a copy of Intimidating Black. Let's make it #1 on Amazon. Yeah, definitely keep me posted for that book signing. Since I'm a local, so I can hopefully make that and
Yes,
get to get a copy of your book.
of
And
course.
so passive income, that's very good. That's very interesting that you're looking out for the next generation. It seems like that's something that you're interested in because you're writing a book on passive income for vending machines for younger people. And I know education is a big part of your campaign. Am I right?
Yes, yes, I am super
Okay.
passionate about education. I actually not just did a speech, but I did a speech earlier this year in February concerning education. It was around the time that the country as a whole was talking about it because the report cards had just came out in regards to our academics. If you ask me, we are completely wasting our time when it comes to what we teach inside of these schools outside of basic math and reading.
Yeah.
I listed off during that speech, I listed off about 10 books, and it would be my guess only a handful of people actually researched what I was talking about. When it comes to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich, The Richest Man in
Mm,
Babylon, we are literally doing a disservice to the future of America by
yeah.
just brainwashing them into becoming workers. We're not birthing thinkers, we're creating workers.
Jackson, followed by Carolina Rodriguez.
Good afternoon, Council. When I first announced my run for Congress, I had this random white woman, liberal, walk up to me and ask, "Well, what about you isn't Democrat?" To which I responded, "Well, besides my skin color, what about me is Democrat?" And it was at that very moment that she realized that God gave her enough common sense to ask me about my values. Now, don't get me wrong, I was raised to vote Democrat down the ballot. So when I first started, I would say things like, I'm a Republican, but I'm not a conservative. But now I know all too well I am a full-fledged, hardcore conservative, and I'm proud of it. I mean, my favorite saying is I was born Black, not Democrat. But in all seriousness, whenever I began to think for myself politically, the choice was easy. I mean, why would I want to belong to a party whose mission is to infringe on the Second Amendment as if a criminal would ever participate in something like a mandatory buyback? Why would I want to belong to and endorse a godless party? Because there is no such thing, and I mean no such thing as a trans child. We have confused children and sick enabling adults. Why would I want to belong to a party that takes pride in shedding innocent blood? Number one, as if that's not what God hates. Number two, as if there's not a black market for baby organs. And number three, as if abortion clinics didn't start in the hood. Because if you think Trump is bad, you should research exactly who Margaret Sanger was. But speaking of the Black community, why would I want to belong to a party who's responsible for the foundation of the Triple K? But it's not just that. Supposedly in the 1900s, the party switched, right? But what never changed, what I noticed never changed.
Wow. There's a lot there. That was a good video. I can relate to that. I can relate to that being half black and half Guatemalan myself. You're People just assume that you're supposed to vote Democrat because of your skin color.
Yes.
So at what point did you at what point into your life, what age did you realize, okay, I am a conservative?
Um, and the year was probably maybe 2022 or
Okay.
three when I realized it, but I never really claimed to be a Democrat. People just
Yeah.
assumed that I was Democrat. But during that or right before that time period, I did volunteer with Democrats, but that was only because I was sent in by friends to support a political campaign. And at the time, I was so ignorant. I
Yeah.
didn't do any research on policies. I was just going to support a friend of a friend. And being in that space at that time, I was just so naive and just blind to what I was doing until I began to look at policy.
Yeah.
And that's what politics should be about, paying attention to policy. But, well, I don't know about your community, but in my part of the Black community, we don't do that. As long as you identify as a Democrat, you're safe, and we will never hold
Yeah.
you accountable. And if you're Black and a Democrat, that's bonus points. So it was very ignorant how I started in politics, but whenever I began to actually research policy and what's being voted on and how people
Yeah.
vote, I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute, wait a minute. So, one, the Democrats are no better than Republicans. And once you actually begin to dissect what is being voted on and who's voting on what and how, I was like, wait,
Right.
I'm a conservative. And I started in real estate in 2021 or in 2020, and that's when I came up with my slogan because I knew it was a possibility that I would probably run. And it was when
Mhm.
I worked for University of Phoenix as an academic counselor, that we were playing a game, and they said come up with a political slogan. And that's when I came up with the no taxing with Jackson. So it was funny how it came about. But I am an avid advocate against property taxes. The fact that we can say, oh, we're in a housing crisis or oh, we're in a rental crisis, yet we're taxing housing is just insane for me.
Yeah.
But just beyond property taxes, when it comes to what's being taught in school, what books are being handed to our children, whether or not we want to open border, employment, it's just different things. If you actually go down the list of what's being voted on and who's voting how, it was an easy choice. Like I said in that speech, it was very easy once I actually began to pay attention to policy instead of skin color or political party.
Yeah. I think it happened that way for a lot of us who are minorities. Like I said, my mother's black, my dad's Guatemalan, and so it was just something that you did. You're raised in a Democratic household, or their parents voted Democrat. You didn't really pay attention to what the policies are. So
Right.
for me, it was just I always had conservative values, but I just didn't realize that I was just voting Democrat. Then realized that okay, I don't really agree with these people. So it's kind of the same thing with you. You're like, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So why am I voting for this party?
Right.
So that's what it was for me. But I'm glad that you explained that because I wanted to ask you about that anyway. So uh, very good to know. I think it happens for a lot of us. And you being a black conservative running for office, um, what kind of backlash do you deal with on a daily basis?
Even if I wasn't running for office, the backlash that happens on a daily basis, I get
Mhm.
emails, comment section, phone calls, text messages from people whom I've never given my number to.
Wow.
Just calling me all kind of names. But I think it's important to highlight. I am the type of person where I don't ask for permission or forgiveness. I am very secure in who I am.
Yeah.
But I will say this. I hesitated on that speech. I didn't want to give it because every district that I live in, like the district that I'm running for now on a city level, and the congressional district that I'm about to announce my run for, I know for a fact that the voters in those districts, they're heavily Democrat. They're heavily Democrat. But especially in the Black community, we are conservative. We just don't want to admit it. Like if you actually hold a
Exactly.
conversation, especially with the older population in the Black community, we're conservative. We just don't
Oh
want to
yeah.
admit it. And it's tragic because when you have someone like me, my number one strategy for running any campaign is going door to door, especially being grassroots. And
Yeah.
especially running against incumbents. I'm not going for open seats. I'm challenging someone who has been in a seat for years or for at least a decade, and we know that they're not doing their job. So my strategy is going door to door, having these great conversations. I learned so
Yeah.
much about neighborhoods that I some that I grew up in, some that I didn't grow up in, just by going door to door. And they're just so anti-Republican. They're so anti-Trump because some of them think that Trump runs the Republican Party, which is, in my opinion, is not true. But whether or not you hate Trump or you despise the Republican Party, you or whether or not you want to admit that you're conservative or you have conservative values, at what point in time do you wake up and you stop being faithful to a political party?
Yeah.
Now, it's a lot easier for me to run as an independent. I can tell you that in these districts. But there's hurdles to running as an independent that I recently learned when I ran for Congress. Like, for instance, you can buy your way onto the ballot as a Democrat. You can buy your way onto the ballot as a Republican. You cannot buy your way onto the ballot as an independent. And when you ask certain communities, hey, why don't you support independent candidates, knowing that the Democrat Party isn't perfect, they'll say ignorant things like, oh, well, independents don't win. Now,
Yeah.
I will say this, it's hard for an independent to win a presidential seat because of the electoral college, but city council, that's an independent race, that's a nonpartisan race.
That's true.
And if we support more independents on a local level, from city council to school board to county commissioner or on a state level, we would see more support on a presidential or federal level, but we don't have that support from the community. We don't have volunteers showing up to poll greet or to phone bank or to block walk with us. They choose between the two parties, even though they know that the Democrat Party isn't doing all that they could do for their communities.
Right. That's a good point. So what neighborhoods in Fort Worth did you door knock in?
I knocked on doors for this race. I knocked on doors. I completely did historic Southside, which I'm very
Okay.
disappointed in their neighborhood association. The fact that they sold out for that's another story. But historic Southside, Highland Hills. I did some of Morningside. I did some of Hillside, and that's when that incident happened at the debate. And ever since the debate, I stopped knocking on doors for safety reasons.
So what about your opponent? Do you see that he's not doing when you say he's not didn't do his job, what do you see? Yeah.
So the number one thing that I've noticed about the incumbent is that he's in bars and clubs more than he's in neighborhoods. I want to say 90% of the doors that I knocked on when I were knocking on doors, either one, they had no idea who Chris Nettles were or was or is, or they know exactly who he is, but he's never knocked on a door. He's been in office for 4 years, 2 terms, and last election cycle, he went unopposed. I have a fraction of the resources that he does. There's no excuse. There is Absolutely no excuse, especially when you're in clubs and bars every single night, that you have to negate or to explain that the reason why you haven't been knocking on doors and engaging in the community. He sometimes he doesn't even show up to neighborhood meetings. But the number
Oh,
one thing that I feel that he has failed at is the homeless issue in District 8. All of our shelters in the city of Fort Worth reside in District 8. And I'm not saying that that's fair on his end, but he knew exactly what he was getting into when he applied for the job back in 2021 and he successfully won after 6 years of running for office. You know exactly what the issues were in District 8. And if you look from 2021 to 2025, when it comes to the homeless issue, it's gotten a lot worse. We have homeless people setting fires in residential neighborhoods. We have them exposing themselves to children, especially in historic Southside. That's probably one of the
what?
worst. Oh yeah, go and
Oh
knock
my
on doors
gosh.
in historic Southside, and they will tell you. When I was out there, I seen a homeless man carrying a machete down the street. 15 minutes later, I was in my car at that point, but 15 minutes later, I was actually back knocking on doors, and it was another homeless man walking around with a knife. So it from setting fires to exposing themselves to children to carrying weapons in our neighborhoods, to breaking into houses, to doing drugs in the streets. The homeless issue in District 8 is number one on my priority list, and somebody has to get it done because it's one of the major failures within his administration.
Wow. See, the stuff you just explained, like, I said, I don't live in Fort Worth anymore, so I don't see what's going on in the South Side. But that stuff you just explained with the machetes and exposing themselves, that is the type of stuff that you see going on in New York City or Portland or Seattle. I mean, that's mind-boggling to
Chicago.
me. Fort
Yeah,
Worth? Come
yeah.
on now.
And
Forgive me, I'm sorry. I was muted out. You guys, we have to get in a quick word from our sponsor. Up on the screen, you are looking at Mixed Texan Report from his YouTube channel when he interviewed Miss Peyton Jackson from the 8th Texas District. She is running for city council against Chris Nettles. All right, you guys, there are some nuggets from the interview, from the raw, unedited interview that has not been released. I'm saving that for our live stream, The Panel You Can't Cancel, episode 2, Wednesday night, May 14th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mixed Texan Report. Big Russ and myself will be collabing again with a great panel of guests. All right, guys, we're going to get in a brief word from our sponsor and then we'll continue this amazing interview. You guys, voting is May 3rd, 2025. That is on Saturday. You guys, your vote is your voice. Make sure you make it to the ballot. All right.
Do you know why they're terrified of you? Because you are capable of everything they said couldn't be done. I realized I've been asking permission subconsciously. I've been waiting, but no more. Just because you see someone being successful doesn't mean they aren't still learning, still growing, still adapting. And I'm grateful for the days when I can slow down, take some time to think about these things, and come to some powerful conclusions.
All right, you guys, if you want to check those products out, it's not only all natural products renewing our bodies at the cellular level, but there's also financial planning programs available. You guys, please visit www.trenant.com/Regina Connell. All of that is in my bio. Okay, without further ado, let's get back to this amazing interview.
And
Oh,
I mean,
no.
if you,
Oh,
I know you're not in Fort Worth, but if you, whenever you do come, because I don't see that it being resolved anytime soon unless I win. But just drive down Lancaster and you'll see like there's tents up. And I was surprised to see the fires, but it's a very common thing when it's cold outside, because at first I was like, I was so mad. Why are you starting fires in the street? And then I had to think
Yeah.
about it. It's cold outside. They're trying to keep themselves warm. But even outside of winter, like we have tents set up, like this is a campsite. And sometimes code compliance or the police they'll clean up a campsite, but then the homeless people, they'll just move it down the street. So it never gets
Man.
resolved. And code
Yeah.
compliance, they'll harass homesteaders and fine them for small little things, but they don't pay attention to the campsites that cripple our neighborhoods.
Well, yeah, Lancaster has always been a little rough. A lot of homeless people there, especially if you get towards um, downtown Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And that side. Now the homeless shelter in on Lancaster going towards downtown, is that a part of your district?
Yes.
Chris Nettles has been a council member in Fort Worth since 2021, but really playing defense on Monday. And Mayor Matty Parker saying that the city deserves better after an audio recording surfaced online of Nettles calling Parker and some fellow council members racist. Take a listen.
And I did. I called every Republican a racist. Sure did. And we'll say it again. Yeah. Donald Trump, Michael Crane, Matty Parker, Carlos Flores.
This recording, Nettles says, is roughly 2 years old, posted by a former colleague who was part of his 2021 election campaign who clearly doesn't like him any longer. Nettles saying in a statement Monday that the recording was made during a private conversation without his consent, and that he was grappling with the realization that the council would not have the votes to approve the creation of a police oversight board toward the end of 2022, adding that, I want to be clear, I do not believe that my fellow council members are racist. I do, however, feel that there are systemic processes in our city that can and should be improved to ensure fairness for all residents. Crane, Flores, and Parker are still serving alongside Nettles on the council. Crane told me Nettles has reached out to apologize over the issue, but couldn't reach Flores. But Matty Parker a little bit more stern, saying leadership means you attack problems, not people. Fort Worth deserves better. Now, Nettles will be up for re-election next year, and he said publicly on Monday that this is the beginning of an effort to oust him from the council.
I want to talk about that situation that we just looked at. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, it's the state in the mindset of the majority in the Black community, I feel. Anyone who isn't a Democrat, anyone who identifies as Republican, they're considered racist. And at one point in time, I thought the same thing because that's what I was told coming up. I was raised to vote Democrat down the ballot. Until I paid attention to policy, one, but until I went to my first Republican meeting, I thought Republicans were the enemy. They're so nice. And I'm not saying that they're perfect, and I said that in my speech. But not only do I lean more conservative, Republicans are, not all, but a lot of them are really nice, nicer than Democrats. But regardless, you don't call someone racist simply because they identify as a Republican. That's just stupid. It's small-minded. And in the statement that he made, he said that he was grappling with the idea that we wouldn't have enough votes to support the Citizens Review Board for the police department. That's not true. That's not true. Those audio recordings, a lot of them are from 2023. That board was shot down by the council in 2022. That was just an excuse that he made to the media, for optics. He was emotional at the time, and he made a statement. That's not true. The truth is, one, he is an emotional man. But he genuinely believes that all Republicans are racist, and it's so small-minded. It's so small-minded. But with that video, which was leaked in December of last year, all of this was leaked in December of last year. I'm disappointed in the media. Because yes, he made those comments in the first part of that video, but what was also attached to the back end of that video is him trying to put out a hit on someone. And although I'm not trying to cause any conflict between me and Mayor Parker, she told the media that questions need to be directed to Councilman Nettles when it comes to the rest of that video. And that's not what a leader does in my eyes. You're the mayor of the city. The council should hold him accountable. If I tried to orchestrate a hit against Mayor Parker or Tim O'Hare, our county judge, I would be held accountable. So why are we ignoring council corruption? That's my question.
That's a very good question. That's good information you gave right there. How do you feel about the police department, the job they're doing in the city? Do you think that what are they doing right and what are they doing wrong in your opinion?
Okay. So I get asked this question a lot. I do back the blue. I love police officers in general. And that comes after, at the same time, I was taught to vote Democrat down the ballot. I was taught to treat cops like the enemy. And it wasn't until recently that I actually began to build a relationship with our police department. So my mission is to convey the message that I understand that all cops aren't good. My mission is to convey the message that all cops aren't bad. And the panel that came out, I don't know if you actually read it, but it was a 100-page panel that came out in either 2021 or 2022 in regards to our police department and literally everything that they did wrong. And the panel it was disgusting. I was like, oh my God, how could anybody in a position of power operate the way that Fort Worth PD does? But I can tell you, I don't believe that that's a direct reflection of our police department as a whole. I know that there are things that we need to fix within our police department. I believe that there are things that we need or people that we need to hold accountable within our police department. Like, for instance, Officer Kruger. I don't know if you know what he did last year, but he literally knocked a woman unconscious. She was older or she is older in age. He knocked her unconscious and then screamed, "Stop resisting." She was unconscious. She wasn't resisting. But not only was that disgusting what happened, he had a very detailed track record in Irving with their police department. So in my eyes, he should have never been hired. But to make it a little bit more personal, I've ran into a couple of cops that weren't really tasteful in my eyes. In regards to the hit with Pastor Nettles, the hit that he tried to put out, I tried to give that to the Fort Worth PD way before I even thought of running for office, and I was unsuccessful with doing that simply because either Chief Noakes wouldn't answer the phone or they were so insistent that my information was on the police report. But also I tried to give it to a commander. And he said, and I quote, that I don't want to touch any council corruption. So there are things that we absolutely need to fix within our police department. But as a whole, I feel like we're doing a decent job. Of course, we can do a lot better. But 50-50.
Okay. So do you feel like Fort Worth is in a better position than Dallas public safety wise?
I have to be honest. One, we are understaffed when it comes to our police department. About a year ago, I was working for MHMR, which is the mental health agency for Tarrant County. And sometimes we have to call the cops. I called the cops for someone in need of help, and I was put on hold. I thought, oh my God, I had the wrong number. Hung up, called back. I was still on hold. I was like, oh my God, there's hold time for the cops. And that was the first time that I've ever experienced something like that. And it was kind of scary. But no, I can't say, which I don't live in Dallas, so I don't I don't really know what's going on in regards to public safety. Like when I ran for Congress, of course, they told me that there were some problems and we need more police presence. But when it comes to actually living in Fort Worth, I hear gunshots every night. Well, I just moved. I
Wow.
haven't heard one gunshot since. But when I stayed in South Poly and on the north side, I heard gunshots damn near every night. So I wouldn't say that we're better when it comes to public safety.
Yeah.
We definitely have some work to do, but again, we're understaffed when it comes to police presence. So I mean, the officers that we do have, I mean, they can only do so much. And
Right.
I cut them a little bit more slack once I attempted to put myself in their shoes. A couple of months ago in February, I participated in a ride along, or in the ride along program with East Division, which is where you do a whole shift with a cop. And oh my God, I learned so much. And it helped me again put myself in their shoes, but I also took it a step further and tried to become a cop with a different agency. And I was like, oh, this takes a lot. So what I would one of the things that I would recommend to help fill that gap or improve public safety is not encourage our residents to participate in the ride along program, but encourage seniors and juniors in high school to be put on the track for the academy. We need more police officers, especially ones that look like us, not that race. But I recently had a few conversations with a few marshals that dislike how Fort Worth PD or the city of Fort Worth treats them. For instance, so what I've been told is marshals, when they come in already accredited, already passed the academy, and they have everything that they need to speed line the process, they get paid less than our regular officers in Fort Worth PD. And the problem with that is when we need help in Fort Worth, who do we call? We don't call Arlington. We don't call the state troopers unless it's a huge issue. Our second hand man are our marshals. So within my administration, I will strongly advocate that we treat marshals the very same, if not a tad bit better, than our officers that work under Fort Worth PD, because again, Fort Worth PD is understaffed. Fort Worth PD is extremely understaffed. Now, I don't believe that we need another citizens review board. We already have the monitor, which if you ask me, that's a waste of time, because when I needed the monitor to actually do something, she said that she could only send a recommendation. I can send my own recommendation to the cops.
I hear you, girl. You can send your own recommendation. You guys forgive if there's skipping, lagging, or anything of that sort. I'm keeping a close eye on it. I've made sure I've closed out every other application, any other browsers. I've closed all of those out. So bear with us, you guys. Once again, this is the interview with the 8th Texas District City Council candidate running against Chris Nettles. You guys, please get out and vote. Early voting has already closed, but that's all right. Make sure you make it to the polls on Saturday, May the 3rd. This year, 2025. All right, let's continue this amazing interview. And you guys, be sure to join us May 14th, 2025, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We've got episode 2 of the panel You Can't Cancel. We are Mixed and Wired with Mixed Texan Report and myself, special co-host Big Russ, my husband, and we are featuring, and he's also going to be on the panel, original music artist Thanos. All right, guys, let's continue on.
So in my eyes, that department of Fort Worth PD is a complete waste of time. So the board that everyone is speaking of for Fort Worth PD is another waste of resources. I would like to see accountability and transparency across the board, but also prioritizing our marshals. If they're our secondhand man and we lean on them in a time of need, it's about time that we start acting like it. But we have our own issues on a county level as well. I believe at one point in time we led the state when it comes to deaths in Texas. And if we didn't lead the state, we were very close to it. But regardless, we've had over 70 deaths in our county jail. And that's something that I would like to address. And I know that it goes against my conservative values, or it goes against the conservatives in Tarrant County. But that's something that we desperately have to address when it comes to how many people are dying in Tarrant County Jail. Now, they're not all saints. I seen one case and I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, because of the charge that he was guilty of. It's just certain charges I feel like you shouldn't even go to jail. That's a privilege. You should be executed on the spot. But that it goes against our Constitution. We say that you are innocent until proven guilty, but if your life is taken while you're in jail, I mean, how can you prove your innocence?
That's a good point. Okay, that's brings me to my next question. Okay, with the last administration on the presidential level, we saw a wide open border. Did you see an impact in Fort Worth from illegal immigration?
I would have to say yes. And it was brought to my attention in the most rudest way. I don't get a good response from older Black women in politics. They see me and it doesn't matter if I tell them that I'm conservative or not. They don't take well to me. So at my very first candidate forum when I ran for Congress, I was made aware that illegal immigrants can enroll their children into our schools.
Yeah.
I am very passionate about our education system. And once I did my research, and once I started following the reports of the Tarrant County GOP chairman, I found out that about 40% or half of our school district is made up of illegal immigrants. Now, in no way, shape, or form am I trying to target children. I believe that children are all innocent despite what their parents do. But as an accountant, I cannot help but point out the simple topics and strategies of supply and demand. If we increase the amount of people who are being enrolled, especially if they're here illegally, but we don't have enough funding from property taxes, where is that money going to come from? An increase of taxes. Who is that going to affect outside of homesteaders? The people who are here legally. Again, I'm not trying to target children in no way, shape, or form.
Right.
But if we prioritize people who are enrolled illegally, how can we pay attention to the other kids who, again, cannot read on grade level? They can't. And when the state tried to pass SB 4, which would make it a felony to break into the country, our police department, we folded simply because of the demographics. The Hispanic community is huge in the state of Texas, but also in the city of Fort Worth. But instead of doing the right thing by saying we prioritize people who are here legally, we folded and we went against Greg Abbott in regards to our police department.
And I would have to absolutely agree with Miss Jackson on that. You guys, I want to remind everyone voting is in the 8th District of Texas, May 3rd. This Saturday, you guys make sure you run out to the polls. Unfortunately, early voting has already closed, but don't worry. You guys, I have Miss Jackson's website listed. So you guys make sure you run on over and check her out. If you can give your time, your talent, your resources, whatever, monetarily, she accepts any and all help. All right, you guys. Hey, Texans, we are going to be covering the recent House bill that passed in Texas. I want to wait and do a collaboration with Mixed Texan Report on this, but I am referring to HB 366. You guys, if you haven't heard about that bill, we'll get into it later. Let's finish this interview for now.
Again, I am not trying to attack anyone who's running from chaos in another country. I am not trying to attack children, but we have to take care of Americans first. And it wasn't until, well, actually it was right before I ran for Congress that I ran into my first conservative Hispanic. And I was just in awe. I was like, she was pro-life as a woman, and she was pro closed border as a Hispanic. And I'm like, how could you do that to your people? And it was so racist on my end to assume her value simply because of what I saw outside looking in.
Yeah.
When the true answer, or the true principle is, she's an American. And now it's so funny because I did this transition very publicly. I didn't transition privately. I didn't come out as a Republican initially. I didn't identify originally, but I was speaking on Democrat values originally, and then I made that transition publicly. But for me to assume someone's value, because of their skin color or their heritage or their demographic, that's the same thing that I've received for years, being vocal about my conservative values. It wasn't right, but I tell people now, if you don't know a conservative Hispanic, you just don't know enough Hispanics. You haven't had enough conversations, because from Fort Worth to all the way to Dallas, and I've knocked on doors from Fort Worth to Dallas, because that's where my congressional district lies. There are conservative Hispanics, and anybody with any common sense is a conservative, or at least have conservative values, especially when it comes to the border.
Right. And if you look back at the election results in 2024, in Texas, Trump received 55% of the Hispanic vote. I mean, that's huge. So that tells me right there. And then Trump ran on the border. That was one of his biggest issues. Both times he ran. Well, the first time and then the last time he ran, the border was one of his biggest issues he ran on. And the Hispanic community rallied behind him, especially in 2024, here in Texas at least.
Right.
So that just goes to show you that they do want secure borders. They are here as American citizens, and they don't agree with people just coming across unchecked and not assimilating to our way of living.
Right.
And now there's a clip from Tom Homan, our border czar. If you're okay with us playing that, about talking about how families can be
deported together.
Yeah.
When he came out with the quote, I fell in love with him.
Yeah, we're going to play that clip real quick, Regina. Then we'll get her take on it. Real quick, Regina. Then we'll get her take on it.
I got you, boss man. Stand by.
Tom Homan is a American treasure.
That he is.
He's already picked a so-called border czar. Trump says Tom Homan will oversee, quote, all deportation of illegal aliens back to their country of origin. Of course, that is a quote there. Homan has been a controversial figure. He was acting ICE director of the first Trump administration and supports Trump's mass deportation plan. Here's what he told 60 Minutes.
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there's. Families can be deported together.
Why should a child who is an American citizen have to pack up and move to a country that they don't know?
Because their parent obviously entered the country illegally, had a child knowing he was in the country illegally, so he created that crisis.
Well, I mean, I think that was well said. I mean, what boggles my mind is that, and I'll let you comment on this, but I want to have a statement on that real quick, is that they were complaining about the child separation thing, but now they're complaining about kids going with their parents, and their parents choose to take them with them when they get deported. So it's just like, which one is it? I don't know.
Well, I'll refer back to another statement that he said. When someone like me or you or any American citizen breaks the law, we don't preach against separation then when we go to jail and those kids
Right.
are either separated and placed into foster homes or have to go elsewhere. When you break the law, you have to pay for it. And I'm not famous for the saying yet, but I'll say it publicly soon. The only right that you should have after breaking into this country is the right to remain silent. I mean, it is absurd that you can break into this country and have the Second Amendment before a felon does. And I'm not defending felons, but people who have committed crimes, made mistakes, or did something on purpose and now has a felony record, they don't have the Second Amendment right.
Right.
They have to fight for housing. They have to fight for jobs. They have to fight for just basic human rights. So what makes you better than the average felon? I didn't even know that it wasn't a serious crime to break into this country until the Biden administration. I went against Trump when he first ran. I was like, oh my God, I voted for Biden. And that was one of the worst mistakes that I could have ever done. I mean, the absolute worst. You mean to tell me that you can break into this country and you can get stuff like Social Security? But when I applied for Social Security for my son who has autism, I was automatically denied. Why? Because I decided to get into real estate. If you own a property that you do not live in, you're automatically disqualified from things like Social Security.
Wow.
Automatic, and it's me who owns the property. The property wasn't in my son's name.
Yeah.
And he's the one that has the disability. But you mean to tell me that people can hop over our border, get things like Social Security, housing. In Fort Worth, we have an 8-year housing wait list. You can get things like Social Security, housing, food stamps, Medicare, Medicaid, everything that our community is deprived of. And I'm not advocating for welfare. That's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother crippling conversation that we can have. But you mean to tell me that you take pride, Democrats take pride in not prioritizing American citizens? We have people in my neighborhood who desperately need those resources that are automatically denied, but we prioritize and we incentivize people to break into our country. And I'm called xenophobic or racist. No. Before Trump got in office, we had over 160 countries currently invading our border. And some of the people look like me. So it's not racist, it's not xenophobic. I'm a patriot. But because I'm Black, because I don't look like I'm a Republican or conservative, I can't be a patriot. A Black woman or a Black man saying that they are a patriot is unheard of. It's unheard of. I get called all kind of names just for standing up for what's right.
It's sad. It really shouldn't be that way. I mean, the days of just listening to somebody talk with opposing views and having an open conversation, days are gone. Now it's like, oh, if you're a Trump supporter, if you're a Republican, conservative, and you're a Black or Hispanic person, actually anybody for that matter, you're automatically a racist. You're Uncle Tom. I've been called Uncle Tom, and I've been called kind of names. I have a family member who called me Uncle Tom, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, it's sad that. Oh gosh, I can only imagine what you deal with.
No, they know.
family.
They wouldn't like you, man.
They know to leave politics alone when it comes to me. Like I have
Okay.
one conservative or two conservative family members, but the rest of them, they know we don't. That's one rule that we have. We do not talk about politics, and I respect that. Because if not, I probably am going to offend you in your ignorance. But I'm not necessarily trying to offend you. I want you to wake up, just like I want the Black community and the brown community in general to wake up. But the thing is, with the brown community, I've seen more people being open to conservatism in comparison to the Black community. I've had more Hispanics tell me that they see the defects or the disadvantages of an open border in their neighborhood. Like I can't count on both hands. When I ran for Congress, knocking on doors, they'll say, "Oh, the people across the street are illegal," and they say things like, "If things go bad here, we could just move back to my house, in my country." And as a real estate investor, I'm like, kudos to you owning more than one property. But as an American, I'm saddened because just because you have options outside of this country doesn't give you the right to trash these neighborhoods. And a lot of the Black community, we made jokes, or they made jokes about what a Black job is, after that one debate.
Yeah.
You can sit here and laugh about what a Black job is all you want, and I mentioned that in my conservative speech, but it's not just Black jobs. It's Black schools. Because when illegal immigrants come here, they're not going to gated communities that have HOA. It's Black schools, it's Black jobs, it's Black housing, it's Black resources. I mean, the fact that you are able to own a property in America without citizenship is just absurd. I mean, I'm not trying to trash anybody on it fighting for a better life, but I'm America first before America first was even a thing. American resources belong to Americans. I don't care what race you are.
Yeah, and it's like the very people that Democrats say they are for, Black community, this and that they advocate for, are the very people out there hurting with illegal immigration. So yeah, that's an excellent point.
But they listen to people like Jasmine Crockett.
A city council race in Fort Worth got heated. Video from a debate last night shows two candidates getting in.
Okay, guys, before we jump into this interview, I want to be sure to make special note. Hey, Mixed Texan Report, what's up? So you guys be sure to go visit this channel, Mixed Texan Report. This interview launched Monday night. Maybe it was Tuesday morning. I don't remember. Anyway, you guys, be sure to go check out Mixed Texan Report for all the latest on Texas news and national news, mainly immigration, the border, and law enforcement. All right, guys, we're going to jump back into this. I wanted to set this up before you start watching it. Now, there was about 30 minutes of this footage, and I will say, I did not edit much of the interview out. I mostly interviewed or edited. I'm tired. Sorry, forgive me. I edited myself out mostly. Miss Jackson was so articulate. She gave a very viable explanation for everything that happened. And you can see that the mainstream media, fake news media, tried to shed her in the worst possible light. So we thank you again, Miss Jackson, for always being willing to answer those tough questions. I will say, if you want all stuff with no fluff, No Taxing Jackson is the way to go. You guys, please remember to vote May 3rd, 2025, if you are in the 8th district of the great state of Texas. Let's continue on. We've got about 15 more minutes left of this interview. All right, guys, let's get back into it.
Each other's faces. That conflict involved incumbent Councilmember Chris Nettles and Peyton Jackson, a candidate who is running to take his place in District 8. Fox 4's Dion England is live with details. Dion.
Hi there, Clarice. It was indeed a candidate forum, and now the fallout after that physical altercation involving police reports.
In fact, the incumbent found it.
A community forum.
I'm muted again. Sorry, guys. So I wanted to set this up too. What you don't know, and she does explain in the interview that her lawsuit was not a result of this. If you even want to call it an altercation, it was not a result of what happened between the two of them. Now, Mr. Nettles has filed a lawsuit regarding this incident. Miss Jackson's lawsuit, her lawsuit was filed before this incident happened. So it did get heated. She was trying to deliver the papers from her legal team that she had filed, and she's about to explain it. So I just wanted to set that up real quick. Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. Anyway, so again, I want to repeat, Miss Jackson had already filed a lawsuit that did not have anything to do with this incident. Now, the mainstream media, legacy media, fake news would have you believe that her lawsuit is in regards to this incident. Please pay attention to what she is about to say. Thanks, guys.
Out of control. These debates, these forums, they get heated. But I never touched him. Initially, he touched me first. City Council candidate Peyton Jackson is challenging District 8 incumbent Chris Nettles.
I think I acted appropriately by standing up.
A viewer shared the video with Fox 4. Jackson, during a response, places in front of Nettles what she says is a lawsuit she's filed against him. It goes south from there. You were there.
I was there.
Were you shocked?
I was definitely shocked.
Citizen Jessica Gomez recorded a different angle.
So I stand up and I did like this.
Both Nettles and Jackson say they have filed police reports in the matter. You can see when we spoke to Jackson, she is wearing a holstered firearm. Prior to the forum, she was asked to give up her firearm and was only wearing the holster. If I'm in your personal space and you really feel in danger, back up. Back up. I would never put my hands on anybody. Not initially.
And as she approached me, I stand up and to protect myself, to make sure that she doesn't do anything while I'm sitting down. So I think it's good to have a good debate and a good conversation, but violence is not the answer.
They just made a spectacle of the race now.
Business owner Arthur McCoy is another Nettles challenger in the race. He participated in the same forum. However, his stand on the issues Thursday night overshadowed by this.
Let's pay attention to District 8 as a whole. Let's pay attention to District 8 about the homeless. Let's pay attention to District 8 about the infrastructure, and not make a spectacle of this.
Interesting stuff right there. Yeah. So what prompted that whole thing? Like, we just saw you walk up. We didn't know what happened before that. So that's why your take on that situation.
So right before that, well, I would encourage everyone to go, if you have a copy of the full video, to go and watch the entire 38-ish minutes, where I was receiving threats very early on from the intro. But right before that incident, I was giving him the cover page to a lawsuit that I had filed earlier that day in regards to him colluding with my landlord. When you run for office, your address is not redacted like incumbents. Why they only redact addresses of incumbents, I do not know. But unless you're an officer or have some special purpose, your address is public. And one fault of the media, every single interviewer or every single reporter that I spoke to, they took out that piece of my interview. I said, if anything, I hope that this raises awareness that we need to begin redacting the addresses of everyone, not just incumbents, because we have people like Chris Nettles. You don't sit down in a back office meeting, go behind the city's back, and have a meeting with the landlord of your opponent. That's a clear conflict of interest. But even if it was just a meeting that happened, why, when the second that my name was brought up, my landlord should have exited the meeting. That did not happen. Pieces of my lease was disclosed to my political opponent. So I filed a lawsuit against him, any third parties, in my landlord's. All I was supposed to do was set that cover page down, and you can see me on the video back up and say, hey, I'll see you all at the polls, but I'll see him in court. That's how it's supposed to go. It did not go that. It did not go that way. Now, in his interview with Dion, he said that he stood up as I began to walk up. That's not true. If you go back and you watch the video, I set the piece of paper down, I back up, then he stands up and begins talking. Then that's when I walked up with my hands behind my back. The second I felt some type of pressure on my stomach, I looked down. My head is literally dropped in the camera. Once I confirmed that it was his hand or his arm, I immediately reacted. Now, from that incident, he is now walking around with police escort. And another fault of the media between Dion and another reporter, his name is Scoop, they made it a big deal that I open carry. I am a Texan. I am an American. I open carry everywhere. I open carry in the police department. I could, because I legally can. I open carry when I block walk. I open carry literally anywhere, and that didn't stem from Chris Nettles. I ran for office last year, in the last couple of years, where I was not only attacked by a dog, but I ran into a man that didn't know how to take no for an answer. So none of my open carry-ness has to do with Chris Nettles, even though I think it's imperative that we acknowledge the fact that he not only tagged someone's car with a GPS, he literally is on camera trying to put a hit out on someone. So yes, he is a dangerous man. Am I scared of him? No, I know that he is very weak and very emotional.
The third guy, he said he's a business owner. Do you know anything about that?
His name is Arthur McCoy. He seems pretty cool. We share some of our values in a similar light. I wish he was a little bit more vocal, but had he put his name on the ballot before me, I probably would have just stayed out of the race. Like I mentioned before, Nettles went unopposed last time, and it's not because he was doing a good job. For whatever reason, the community is scared to challenge someone like him. And I mean, after the deal with my landlord, I kind of get it, but I'm not from Fort Worth. I'm not even from Texas. So the fact that I'm willing to stand up and stick my neck out for a community that I was not born in, or anything like that, and I'm fairly new to, it speaks volumes in comparison to the natives of this district, the natives of this city who live in District 8 that refuse to challenge someone like Nettles. I get the whole collusion with the landlord thing, and I get the fear behind that. But at what point in time do we stand up to politicians like this? At what point in time do we have a backbone? Now with McCoy, I asked him why he didn't run against him last time, and he had a family situation that he wanted to work on. But my question to the rest of the community: what stopped you? Because it's not like he kept any major promises. I mean, in 2021, the biggest thing that Nettles spoke on was a grocery store, another Walmart for the area, but also a skating rink. I felt the need to go skating the other day, and I can't do it in District 8 because we don't have a skating rink, and that's something that he promised. And I know it's small, but if you go back to his 2021 campaign promises and you compare them to what's being done by 2025, very little, especially when it comes to the homeless population.
Yeah, definitely issues that need to be addressed. Wow. Yeah, I mean, if you run on something, and then you should take swift, bold action to get it done. If you get put in the office, we see what Trump is doing. He got elected, so he's taking swift, bold action to get things done despite the forces against him. So, and I think you will be, I think you would be the type of person that would do that. Like you said, you think we'll have a very low approval rating because of the action that you were going to take, which is not the easy thing to do.
No,
It's easy to just sit back. Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the homeless population or improving our education, if elected, within 60 days, you're going to see a huge change in the homeless population. But once school is back in session this upcoming fall, if I'm elected, we're going to increase those scores while at the same time protesting STAR. I do not agree with STAR, but when it comes to literacy, these kids have to know how to read. I mean, again, outside of basic math and reading, we're wasting our time, but reading is the huge segment of that. These kids have to know how to read, if anything. If anything,
Yep.
they have to know how to read. So within 60 days with the homeless population and within a year in regards to our grade level students.
Okay. So that brings us to, when do you plan to announce your run for Congress, and who will take over that seat? Do you know anything, or do you have any plans for that?
So if I am unsuccessful in this the city council race, which the election day is May 3rd, by May 4th, if not before then, I will announce my run again for U.S. House District 33 to unseat Mark Beasy.
Okay, very good. And if you do win city council, then you would, because it's a 2-year term, right?
It's a
Every
2-year
2 year.
term.
Okay.
It's a 2-year term, and Congress is up for re-election next year in 2026. So if I am successful in this run, I will wait at least 2 terms. Although I don't want to, because Congress was my plan A.
Yeah.
I want to show the city of Fort Worth that I don't need 3 terms or 4 terms or 5 terms to
Yeah.
actually make some real change in the city of Fort Worth. I extremely believe that we need term limits, not just in the city of Fort Worth like they have in Dallas, but also in Congress. We don't need career politicians. We need people who are serious about doing the job, getting it done, and passing the torch.
That's impressive that you say that, because you don't plan to be in the same position for 50, 60
No.
years. So you want to get yeah.
I have the personality as an accountant. That's what my background is in. I have my bachelor's in accounting. I have the personality of an accountant. I'm a very solution-driven person. I don't care about the pictures. I don't care about the optics. I'm very blunt with my policy and my personality. I just want to provide the solution, sustain it, and keep it moving. There's no reason. I'm not in this for a title. I don't care about titles. I never needed one.
That's good. Well, we hope you're successful on all fronts of that level, because we like what we're hearing. We want to see change here in DFW. We want to see things get done in the state level, local, state, and all the way to the national level. So, you sound like a person of action who is going to get things done. So we're going to wrap this up a little bit over, but I do want to ask you a question. If you had to spend an hour with anybody in history, on a bench, and talk to them, who would it be?
Outside of God,
Yes.
someone like Barbara Jordan. And Barbara Jordan was a Democrat that went against Democrat values when it comes to an open border. And I learned that by this organization called Numbers USA, and the book that they have, Back of the Hiring Line. They taught me a lot about how mass immigration affects the Black and brown community. So the fact that she was willing to stick out her neck against the Democrat Party, and shortly, right after her death, she realized that she had traitors in Congress, and they voted against her bill in 1996, which was the year that I was born. I would love to sit down and have that conversation with her to see what kind of backlash that she felt and how she was able to deal with that, because I'm a strong person. And I kind of put up this facade and this wall. A lot of people don't think that what is said affects me, and for the most part it doesn't, because I validated myself before I decided to put myself on any type of ballot. But you should see the hate messages that I wake up to, the emails, the messages, the comment sections, only because I stand in what I believe in instead of just following the crowd. I would love to see how they dealt with that, because I know I'm not the first Black conservative or brown conservative, just to see how they were able to blaze the trail that they did for me.
All of your endeavors with your run, with the election coming up this Saturday. I know it's been a lot for you. And then if you're not successful, we look forward to hearing your announcement for an even bigger position. So we'd love to have you on again if you're open to it at some point. Yeah, and good. And well, any closing statements you have?
No, on May 3rd, I suggest you all pick the third choice, making the first the last, because the last shall be first, and vote Jackson. But if I am unsuccessful in this race for City Council District 8, I understand that a lot has happened since my announcement. I want you all to consider that this is my announcement to run again, yet again, for U.S. House District 33 to unseat Mark Vesey. Thank you.
So did y'all hear that? She just announced her plans that should she be unsuccessful in the city council race, that she will be running for the 33rd Texas district to unseat Mark Levy. All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. We'll get a quick word from our sponsor, Tranont.com. You guys, gut and brain health. That's where it's at. Financial freedom. That's what we are looking for. So you guys join us May 14th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys, 6:45 a.m. A video is launching. I am featuring original music from the original artist, Thanos. And so you guys stay tuned for that. And thanks for tuning in. And we will catch you on the flip flop. Oh, let's play the word from our sponsor. I almost forgot. Let me do that real quick.
Are you ready to take control of your health and wellness? Introducing Tranont Health Products, a premium line of nutrition and wellness supplements designed to support your body's natural balance. From essential vitamins and minerals to advanced detox formulas, Tramont's products are crafted with the highest quality ingredients to help you feel your best every day. Whether you're looking to boost energy, improve digestion, or support immune health, Tranont has something for everyone. Take the first step toward a healthier you with Tranont. Visit www.tranont.com/Regina Cannell to learn more and start your wellness journey today.
All right, guys. Thanks once again for joining us. Thanks for jumping in feet first and being willing to jump in face first with us. You guys, don't forget, if you are in the 8th district of the great state of Texas, get out and vote this Saturday, May 3rd. And Miss Peyton Jackson was gracious enough to afford us this interview. We thank you for that. And don't forget to join us May 14th. All right, guys, that's all I got tonight. I was going to go a little bit longer, but I want to go ahead and get this processed so we can chop it up and get it out to Miss Jackson so she can use it for whatever she needs. For. All right, guys, we will see you on the flip flop. Take
Rise and shine. It's a brand new day. Got the world on my mind. Ain't no time to play. Chasing dreams, running fast, feeling no delay. We're the watchdogs, always watching what they say. Eyes wide open, we're taking what's ours. Breaking through the silence, aiming for the stars.